Carrie Hooker and Althea Bates to Charlene's Vision. It's great to have you here.
Thank you so much for having us.
So excited to be here.
I'm so excited to have new people come in to just talk about their entrepreneurship. So what we have going on, Carrie?
So I am assisting with this amazing conference that is happening on November 4th, 2017, called Baggage Claim, Project Resiliency, which Althea Bates is the founder of.
Okay.
And so she is jumping off the cliff.
Baggage claim.
Baggage claim.
Okay, so let's talk about baggage claim. What is baggage claim?
So baggage claim is really using a play on words. So it's like looking at and using the, you're traveling to a destination.
Right.
And so with every travel to a destination, there's a bag that you pack.
Okay.
For some of us, we are light packers of bags. For some of us, we pack everything with the hopes of maybe choosing once we actually get
That's
there.
me.
And so, you can testify to who you are in the scenario.
Right.
Definitely.
But it's really about, thinking about that whole, again, play on words, looking at, bringing it over to just looking at internally how that really impacts us in terms of our, our emotional, our mental, really looking at that emotional baggage. How do we unpack that stuff from ourselves? How do we actually put ourselves in a place where we actually release things from us? So, just like every trip you go on, sometimes there's the stuff that you actually take out the bag that you use, and then there's the stuff that stays on the bottom of the bag.
Right.
And you just keep packing on new stuff,
for the
next trip.
Right.
And you don't necessarily unpack everything from your bag. So, using that same kind of metaphor, true to life, it's really looking at how do you really take out everything, unpack everything that you actually have to find out what's in the very crevices of that bag.
Now, why do you think that's so important?
I think it's so important. It's so
goodness.
important because
honestly,
because people don't take the time to unpack what all the things that they're dealing with or have dealt with. They just kind of move on to the next thing.
Okay.
So you might have gone through a relationship, or you might have had some type of mental health situation happen to you, and you don't necessarily take the time to really walk through or own that situation that happened to you, and kind of like say, okay, I'm going through my process to release this thing from me, so that I can be better for the next situation that comes over.
And I think it continues to resonate.
Absolutely.
One thing that I've realized, I went to the conference last year as a guest.
Wow. And how long have you had this conference going?
So this is the second year.
Oh, wow.
Of the event.
So I went last year as a guest, bought a ticket supporting my friend, thought an amazing, go for an amazing time.
Okay.
And my cousin and I got there, and we were floored at the idea that so many women were living that same life we were. We were planning these amazing trips, but packing all the junk from the house.
Right. Because we need it just in case.
Just in case.
Just in case.
And I think it was interesting that we lived that way. I absolutely still need that stuff from that last relationship. I don't know if it's going to come in handy.
Right.
I need that from, all my friends and this piece, but we always talk about that. So I need to keep that.
Right.
And how many things that we've just thrown in bags, tote bags, purses, the suitcases, and you traipse along with them. And it was such an interesting concept that I came back this year to help plan.
So what type of skills that you offer people? Pack lightly, or what is it?
It's so much bigger than pack lightly.
Bigger than packing lightly.
Yeah.
It's really looking at really what are those pieces and components of your bag. So even for the actual promotion of the event, I actually like my marketing promotion has me carrying a bag, and the bag has like words like health and finances and relationships and frustration, anger, mental health. So those are all things that we might have in our bags, and the variation of the things that we might have in our bags might look different depending on the situations that we've had or circumstances that we've had happen to us, and how we choose to probably move on from those events. It really dictates what you have in your bag. So if you haven't really fully dealt with a situation, then how could you actually, how are you moving into the next situation? It just really dictates how you move into your next situation, because you're just going to keep packing.
Right.
And we really did look to say destination resiliency. So it's more than packing lightly. It really is, let me lay my life out on the carpet, right? Because that's what happens when we pack. What do? We take everything out of the closet, we throw it in the living room, on the floor, on the chair, and we're picking through it. Oh no, I need a new this, this is old. Same thing with our life baggage.
Okay.
So we ask the women to really lay it on the carpet, or how honest have you been about where you're at and what pieces have either built your resiliency or broken your resiliency, and then we go from there.
So the key to one of the first things we talk about is you have to actually claim that it exists.
Right, exactly. That makes sense.
So you have to claim that you actually have this baggage.
But you talk about financial health. That's a lot of. That's
It is.
A little bit of
People
everything.
carry a little
Absolutely.
bit of a combination of
exactly.
all
But how
those
can you
things.
clear all of that up? That's a lot.
It's a lifetime journey.
It's a lifetime journey for some
can
people.
imagine.
For
It's a
some
lifetime
people,
journey.
it might happen sooner, but everybody's journey to destination resiliency,
Right.
which is really the book that we're looking to kind of come out and launch is really about. It's like your journey is going to look different from Carrie's journey.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
What you need to unpack is going to look different from what Carrie needs to unpack.
And in what order?
And the combination of the things
Yeah.
you need to unpack
Okay.
will look differently.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Now, what about if I have a scenario like just say you have a problem in your relationship? I think it takes two. Like, okay, I know I need to unpack, but what about the other person? If they don't understand, how does that work?
You
So
That makes sense.
So I think it's really looking and dissecting each person in a relationship.
Okay.
So you're an individual, and it's looking at what your baggage is that you're bringing to the table, separate from the person that you're connected to in the relationship. So the question I would have, for an individual is, have you owned yourself and what you need to kind of own in your process to release that baggage from you. I think you have to kind of it's really about self first,
Right.
Making sure that you work on yourself, and it's also about preparing yourself and having that other person kind of see you go through the process of preparing yourself and even releasing things from yourself, because that's only going to help enhance your relationship in the long run.
But don't you
and make it more
think
healthy.
they need to actually help themselves
They
too?
absolutely
So I
do.
think the second piece to that is
yeah, absolutely.
having those is once you've realized okay, there's some stuff, and there's some stuff that I brought in, and there's some stuff that I've claimed since I got here. And I think some of it is being able to, once you've identified, it's sometimes easier for your partner to identify, because they're like, okay, well you're owning your stuff. Okay, well let me.
Right.
If I'm in it to win it, so let me look at my stuff as well.
What you say instead of blaming the next person, you could say, "This is me."
This is
Absolutely,
me.
this
It's
is
about
me.
starting with me.
Starting with me.
Starting with me.
And as I start with me, it makes us a better us.
Right, and then it would lead to you having you coming to kind of a crossroads.
Absolutely.
With the individual that you're connected to in terms of a partnership or a relationship. Is I'm working on me and I'm working on my stuff.
Right.
Are you in the same position where you're willing to do the same for yourself?
Right.
And so I think it brings you to that crossroad in your relationship. For some people, they might continue to take that journey together. For some people, it might be a crossroads where the decision is made for the other person that I don't want to take that journey.
But resilience
Right.
in this is the biggest piece. It's how do you bounce back from all of
Right.
those conversations? How
Right.
do you bounce
Absolutely.
back from that self-reflection?
And like you said, it's awareness. Like some people, I didn't even know. I have all this luggage in my.
Yeah.
You don't.
You don't.
And I'll tell you, and Althea and I have been friends before we really worked together. But
What made you decide to do this too? Anyway.
So
Her vision.
So basically,
Her vision.
This all kind of came out. The whole idea of resiliency actually came out of a year in my life where I was really impacted and had some major life-changing events. I was going through the beginning of the year trying to really figure out and tell God about what my purpose was, and wanted to get a sense of, okay, can I get some time to figure that out, God? I was doing a lot of things, working full-time, being an adjunct professor, taking care of my son as a single parent, going to school,
Wow.
and kind of managing all of those things, and thinking you're juggling them well.
Yeah.
And that's the mask. We'll talk about
And that's
that
what you're
later.
still doing too,
Yeah.
right?
In a different,
in a different capacity.
I'm married now, so I'm not doing a single
Different
parent life,
capacity.
but in a different capacity. But it was more so, God, I need some time to really figure out what my purpose is. I'm doing a lot of things, but I don't know if I'm purposeful in the things I'm doing.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. And God was like, okay, I'll honor that break. I'll give you an opportunity. And it was 7 a.m. going on my back porch, getting ready to bring my son to basketball practice, pick him up, and I attempted to go to my car, and it was black ice. And I went up in the air, came down,
Wow.
one leg broken.
Wow.
5 months later, kind of had to go through rehab, learn how to walk again. Actually, and during that time kind of faced bouts of depression and issues around my self-esteem and not feeling confident in who I was and the place I was. And kind of battling with God a little bit, like, why are you having me go through this? You know, and why are you testing me in this way?
Right.
And he said, remember the break you asked me for. This is your opportunity to take advantage of this break. This is the break.
Oh, so this is the broken leg.
The broken leg was the break.
Wow.
And
so
what
you had to
happens when
stop.
Althea has vision is she connects it to all of the people in her life. And so that time in her life then transitioned what ended up being the 15 other women that are on this planning committee's lives.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because it really made us look at, as she spoke her vision,
So you just woke up one day and say, I have this vision of...
Yeah, and then, I mean, God kept on talking. I was doing a lot of meditating and praying during that time while I was out of work for almost a year, you know, because I had to learn how to walk on both legs again, you know, because 5 months later I broke the other leg, mirror break.
Okay, is that the ice too?
No, that was actually learning how to walk on one crutch in my mom's house with the heavy duty glass furniture.
gone again.
Up in the air. Other leg, mirror break.
Wow.
And so God was like, I'm not done. You're not done with your break. You know.
So he's giving you a purpose of this is what you need to do.
This is what I need to do. And it was a lot of, he was talking to me about resiliency, and I was going to talk to women about that. And he was going to have me go through facets of brokenness in every area of my life.
Right.
So the things I actually have on that baggage are things that I actually experienced. You know, brokenness in my relationships, brokenness in my health, you know, my finances were broken. You know, all those areas were things that he said, I'm going to allow this to happen to you.
Wow.
And it's so I can build you back up, so people can see the work that I'm going to do to build you back up.
Wow.
And you're going to then talk to women about what that process was like.
Okay.
How you overcame those things.
And how did you?
God.
So
honestly,
but I would
first and
also
forefront.
add for that, because I've watched her for the last 2 years do this, and I've watched how the vision has become plain. She has lived resiliently.
Right.
And I mean that in not just, oh, she bounced back and she recovered and these things.
So
no,
let me just hear some
everything
plain
was
examples of what happened. Let's just say, well, the health.
Well, everything was centered around that. So every time you had a conversation with her, it was, no, today's not a good day. You know, my legs are really hurting today. But there was always a yet. You know, no, I'm not healed yet. No, I'm not, you know, completely on the right track.
I felt that if I spoke positivity and spoke things into existence, then it would will me back to the place that I was.
Okay.
As opposed to kind of being in the space and place of where, what was me, this has happened to me, why me?
But it created that resiliency model that we've come
It's like
to
if I overcame this, I can
You
overcome
can
that
imagine.
the next thing that happened to me.
Okay.
And so she then challenged everybody else around her to live the same way.
Wow.
We're gonna live resiliently.
We're gonna live resiliently.
That's good. So like what you did in the past compared, you say you was juggling a whole bunch of stuff. What changed in what you're doing now? Contrast.
I think the things that I'm juggling are on purpose. Okay. So the difference is that I'm living a life on purpose.
Okay.
You know, in relation to what God wants me to do.
Right.
As opposed to what I thought I was supposed to be doing.
So you're still busy?
I'm still busy, but I'm busy on purpose.
Because that's the thing I'm trying to figure out. Are you busy or are you just letting some of the stuff go and saying it's just too much because it's too much in the bag?
Nope. She really, and I think I can say this because I've had to do it in being able to be on this planning committee wholeheartedly. I've had to dig in my bag. And so I know it has been no, I'm not putting it off. I'm taking on everything I would normally take on, but I'm taking it on with honesty.
And the transparency
and the vulnerability
and authenticity
of it.
and the vulnerability within which this space allows you to be in.
And so I'm not just saying yes because, I have time to do it. I'm saying yes because I know I'm strong enough to do it. I know I'm in a good mental place enough to do it. Or I know I'm emotionally set to do it. I know I'm spiritually secure to do it. It's no longer just saying yes for the sake of my calendar being filled up.
Oh, okay. So just basically just praying to God and saying, this is what I want to do. And
I think in order for us to kind of be authentic and transparent and really real about unpacking your bag, I had to actually go through the process myself.
Right.
I couldn't talk to people about how to do that unless I actually went through every facet. And so one of the things I learned and that I talk about in Destination Resiliency a little bit is really that you become resilient. Resilience is like a muscle.
Right.
So you use your muscles, and more you use your muscles, what happens?
You get stronger.
Yeah, you get stronger.
Yeah.
Right. So you might become resilient over one facet or area of your life. Okay.
And still be completely
and still be completely trying to figure out or
other pieces,
muddle your way through other pieces.
Right.
But that's how that works.
Right.
Okay.
You know, you overcome that one area, and the whole point is that you are strong enough in that one area to overcome it, that you don't necessarily, if you get tested on that same area again, your level of resiliency has grown. It's stronger.
Okay.
Right. So then you can move on to the next area that you need to address.
Right.
Yeah.
So but this basically just state like, okay, I'm working, I'm going to school. Of course, I have kids at home that I have to take care of.
Yeah.
4 kids by that, 4 kids.
Yeah.
And, you know, doing this show and also just trying to do my own business. What would you say in that matter?
So I would take you to chapter 2 of the manual.
Yes.
Oh,
I would,
wow.
Because when we look at the manual, we looked at it as a trip.
Right.
And so the first tab is, you know, pre-resiliency. So that pre-work. And that's the work where you're digging through the closet and you're pulling out the stuff. And
Okay.
I would take you to the second piece, which was, you know, actually boarding the flight, getting to the airport and boarding the flight.
Okay.
Right? Because that's what it is. It's, okay, I have all this stuff
And
on
it's
my
the
plate.
apprehension
How am
behind
I
it.
honest?
Like, do I have everything?
Do I have everything? Is my ticket? So that section really looks at, okay, now that I've laid everything out, now that I know kind of where I'm at and I put my mission statement together on who I want to be after this journey's over, how do I organize these pieces of my life?
Organization is
Right? How do I?
important.
So what am I
That's the key.
prioritizing? Right?
Yeah.
Because you may say, listen, having more time for my kids is going to make me resilient. It's going to build up my strength in that area as a mom.
Right.
So that might be where your focus is. And so we really look at, okay, so how do we manage your time? How do we make those things not feel like you're being selfish when you're doing everything else?
Okay.
And so step by step in the manual is what's kind of been amazing for us, is because we really look at it like a trip. So pre-resiliency, boarding the flight, in-flight.
And I think kind of as we're going through, it's like, oh, are these things that we would actually want to do ourselves? Are these tools, tips, strategies, activities that we would actually want to utilize ourselves to then understand where we are in our resiliency process? And it's like, oh yeah, that's a perfect one to go in here. You know, so we did it from that perspective and vantage point.
And what kind of exercises that you have for people to do?
I'm so
talk about
thrilled with
vulnerability.
them. I'm so I've been looking at these 140 pages for months.
Wow, okay.
So we have been digging through and trying to find things that
now
we
you
love.
both wrote the book, right?
Yes.
Okay, what is it called?
It's called Destination Resiliency,
Okay,
a self-care guide and plan.
Okay, and you both wrote it together?
So it's been a joint.
It's been a joint effort. Yes.
Yeah. So the ideas flow, and it's more so. Carrie, help me formulate how the ideas should kind of be formatted.
And the research pieces and the data comes from Althea. Yeah. So I'm able to find the activities and the things that would work, because I know what I would like to use.
Right.
And she does the data and where that comes from. What's it based in?
Okay.
And so I think vulnerability has been my favorite piece.
Okay, let's talk about that.
Because it's in flight, right? So it's the in-flight work. And I think it's because we're not taught to be vulnerable. Right? We are supposed to be superwoman. Day in and day out. There is very little that we are not supposed to know or be able to complete or, you know, just hold that in. You just got to get through the day.
Right.
You know, I remember being told
Don't
that.
cry.
Don't cry. Just get through the day. I remember being told, just get through the day. And so
so it is good to be vulnerable.
So when it came time for vulnerability, there's a worksheet in the manual that really picks it apart. You know, how am I today? Like, for real, right? Not the superficial, oh, I'm happy. No.
How really?
Let's pick that scab, right? What makes you feel uncomfortable? When do you feel you're most awkward?
Right.
Wow.
What triggers you?
What triggers you?
Yeah.
When you're with your friends, right? Because even at 33, there are times when I'm sitting in a room with my best friends, and I may not feel the most secure. And so that worksheet kind of goes and speaks to that. And so it's worksheets like that really dig.
That's pretty good.
So.
Yeah. So your next step in this, what is the future of this resiliency?
So I think it's going to be continuing some of what we've done in the past, including our second annual conference, and really digging in deep and helping women to kind of move beyond the baggage, which is what the theme of this year's conference was. Giving them a chance to really look at these different facets of and things in their bag, and it's like, how do you unpack those things? How do you release those things from you? How do you own them? Even first and foremost, how do you own those things? Own them. Exactly. Own every piece of the.
So you should just make a list of everything you do and just look at it.
I wouldn't recommend that, and I only say that because her and I have been. We've gone through.
I
the
would
process.
think that's what I would do.
Well, I would say it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
If I were to show you the lists of everything that was in my bags, I would have pages on pages on pages, because you look at every aspect of your life. So my recommendation is always, pick one piece. You don't have to be perfect tomorrow, right? Like, I don't have to be resilient in everything tomorrow. No. And
your process might not be that you work on everything at once.
Right.
Your process is that you kind of get resilient over this one piece, and then you move on
to the next one.
And some months you're gonna need a break. Some months you're not gonna want to work on yourself.
Exactly.
You're gonna say,
I might need to put
tired.
my resiliency down for a little bit.
Minute, and that's okay. But giving women permission to do that, I think, has been the amazing part of it.
And we try to write it in a way that would allow people to kind of say, hey, if I need to take a break from this for a little bit, I could take a break and then pick it back up. Because it's heavy stuff.
It is. It's to carry all of that at one time and just try to do all of that.
Especially with everything like you listed.
Right.
You're a mother. You go to school. Right? You're here at the station.
Right.
There's so many facets of you.
Just say, okay, let me just stop doing that for once, and let me just focus on taking my family on a vacation.
That's self-care.
That's self-care.
That's self-care.
It's something.
Or yourself. What am I going to do to balance out my life? So then I carve out a space for my own self.
Right.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Now, you said you have a book. Now, you have a date for that?
Yeah, so December 5th is which is coming up really soon.
December 5th
will be our actual book launch. It's going to take place in Hartford, Connecticut, at the Carriage House, which is a part of the Heartbeat Ensemble's space.
Okay, and that's like a book signing type.
Yes, I have books to sign.
Will be there to sign.
We'll also be having pieces of the book read.
Okay.
And some other components, some poetry, and some other components as well.
Okay. Now, you also mentioned something about some other books as well.
Oh, yes.
So
talk about that.
So the other books, I've also co-authored some other books, and I'm a contributing author to some other books. One of which Charlene and myself are actually contributing authors of, and that just got launched and released, which is Sword of Greatness. So it's really how it talks about our stories and how we decided to make a bold step and decision to really, in one part of our story, be bold enough to kind of share and how we actually soar to greatness in this one aspect and area of our life.
Exactly.
So I'm so excited that to have that co-authored opportunity shared with Charlene and the other 13 authors that are part of that experience. As well, there's another book out called Life Balance for the Woman on the Rise, and it's really talks of 15 stories as well. So it's similar to the book that we actually are part of, and but this time it's womenpreneurs. So it's
who's the author of that one? Who's it?
So it is done by an organization called Women on the Rise, which is based in New York City, and the founder of that organization is her name is Marcia Guerrier.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so she put that project together to really have womenpreneurs come together to really talk about how do they find balance in their own lives.
Okay.
So from a financial perspective, how do you balance your finances? How do you balance your mental health? How do you balance your family? Your spirituality. How do you balance? So we discuss all these different kind of like categories, how we find balance, and it's each person's own unique story as to how they balance out, these different aspects of their life.
Oh, interesting. Now, how did you find out about that?
Each of the books, other than mine, I got approached. So it's basically people that reached out to me. So Jackie Evans Phillips, who put the Sword of Greatness book together, reached out to me. Marcia did the same. And the other book project, I was actually reached out to by Sharetta Pullen, and her project is called Pressure Under the Coal. Okay. And so she created a book project for us as authors to be able to put our own story out as well. So that one for myself it's going to be called Brokenness, Baggage, and Blessings.
Oh, wow.
So it's really going to be talking about all the pieces. And all the entire facet and all the things that I had to go through to get to the stage. I feel like I'm in a blessing stage right now.
Oh, wow, that's good.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned something about the color of broken.
Oh, Broken Crayon Still Color. It's my baby. I am just now launching Broken Crayon Still Color.
Okay, and what is that about?
Oh, it has been a long time coming.
Yes, it has.
I've always wanted to work with youth. I've always really wanted to work in women empowerment. it's been something that I have loved doing based on my own story, based on the things that I put myself in and got put in.
Right.
And so I decided that, sometimes people have all these little broken pieces and you kind of throw them to the side. And it's much like when you have a toddler and they break a crayon and all of a sudden you find it and you step on it and you're like, oh, goodness.
Right.
And then what do? You don't pick it up and throw it away. It gets tossed on the table, it gets thrown back in the bucket. And so I realized that I had done that with a lot of the things in my life. I had created these little broken crayons and kept them. And so one day somebody said, those broken pieces, they still work. They can be used for something else.
Oh, that's good.
And so Broken Crayons Still Color was evolved from there. And that idea that I could use all of those pieces of my life that I had thought I had to keep in the closet.
Wow.
So.
And you the CEO, and how long has that been out?
I literally, Althea has made me jump off the cliff. Hit the launch button.
So part of the work that I do too is I'm a resiliency coach.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So
this is
friends,
I get to test a lot of what I do.
She tests a lot of what she does on her friends.
Yeah, see that.
And so I literally have submitted the paperwork probably in the last week and a half.
Wow, congratulations.
Jumping off the cliff.
Wow.
Living selfishly. And deciding to really push through, and really make my story part of somebody else's honest moments.
Now you writing a book on that, or you just...
That's the goal eventually. To put on paper everything that made Broken Crayons real.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sounds interesting.
And so I'm excited.
Now I know are you doing any traveling with this, or you're just basically going to be in?
So that's the
goal.
That's the goal.
That is the goal.
I know next year we're one of the trips that I've already kind of been approached to do is visit Jamaica, where I'm from, to the University of West Indies, and I'd love to actually drag Carrie with me. It's probably not going to take much convincing.
I know she's saying yes already.
It really won't, right?
Yeah, but it'll be a chance to kind of speak. They have a women's center, and so I'll be actually speaking with women at their women's center about resiliency and self-care.
Okay.
And I know that's one of the trips that I actually have planned, and I'll be looking to kind of do some other ones related to the book to do some traveling.
That's pretty good. Now I know that you're basically, if somebody wanted to know like how to find your guys, just to either go to some of your events, where can they go?
Sure. So for social media, I actually have a Project Resiliency Movement page on Facebook. And actually on Instagram, it is Project Resiliency Movement as well. And that's the page to be able to contact me on Instagram, as well as Twitter. Same thing, Project Resiliency Movement.
Wow.
So all three.
And you?
Broken Crayons Still Color exists on Instagram. Literally just hit the creation button for Facebook.
Wow.
And then realistically, I'll be at the Project Resiliency Conference presenting as a workshop presenter.
Oh, that's nice. And I'm definitely going to be going to that too.
Awesome. On the same topic. So living battle tested. So it's going to be amazing.
Wow, that sounds interesting. It seems like you have a lot going for yourself. And my question is, how do you have time to go to Jamaica?
That question.
I mean, like, come on. We have a 9-to-5 job. How can you have time for all of this other stuff?
I'm going to say, number one, thank God for a supportive partner who also has his own hustle and doesn't mind me having mine.
Okay.
So for me, that's the balance that I need.
Now, do you have a 9-to-5?
I have a 9-to-5. I'm a director of programs and workforce development at a local nonprofit in Hartford. So I do. Yeah.
Okay, so how are you going to take time off to do all of this?
I sure do. So I take my PTO.
She definitely does.
And do what I need to do.
And I've been in youth work in Hartford for about the last 13 to 14 years, and I have an 11-year-old, and I love it, right? So you make time for your passion. And I decided a long time ago that I really just wanted to make sure that I was doing something for me. And so you take the time.
We just want to say thank you. I just want to say thank you for being on the show. Hopefully you'll come
Thank
back
you
with some other new stuff and have some
Absolutely.
other people come.
Yes.
And, because, we women got to stick together.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
Yep, and we got to be powerful and also have us all healthy, like you said.
Absolutely.
Having us all doing positive things in life and, just building upon one another,
It's
I have
important.
people pushing me and, you have people pushing you.
That network is your net worth. So
Absolutely.
I'm nothing without my crew.
Well, thanks for seeing Charlene's vision. You have to tune in on Channel 5 and to see Miss Bates and Miss Hooker. And have a great night. Bye.